Kings Island recently announced that Tower Gardens was going to be closed for an upcoming event. Speculation ran wild, and we quickly found out what's going on. Hey, everybody. Alongside Don Helbig, I'm Ryan Sir, and this is Tower Topics.
Tower Topics is a podcast by Kings Island fans for Kings Island fans because that's who we are and that's who we care about. So, Ryan,
Yeah.
a food and wine festival. So, what were your thoughts when you first heard this is what they're going to do there?
I was kind of torn because I'm not a big wine drinker, but I am a big food eater, as you well know. I've never seen them do anything like this before, so I don't really have like a baseline to compare. Like it's got to be better than last year, or it's not going to be as good as last year. So this intrigued. That's the word that I want to use. Intrigued.
Yeah,
You
well,
know.
I knew that, when you looked at the events calendar, that there was kind of a hole in June, that you could look to fill with something. This is something that during my years working there that would come up as the type of event that the park would like to do. It just never, had enough. I don't know what the word would be, legs or whatever, or you had the opportunity to do it or fit it in at the right time because of other things going on. I like the idea of it. I think that one of the things you see other parks, the Disney parks, Universal, and some others around the country that their whole summer, their whole season is built around these different event runs. I think it's something that drives repeat visits. It creates a little urgency to come in June because it's not there after at the end of June. Now we do want to mention that this is a Friday, Saturday, Sunday event, so it's not like daily
Right.
that's going to take place. But I like it. I think it's something that has a chance to become a staple at the park, kind of like Grand Carnival has become. But with any kind of an event that revolves around food, that's going to determine how successful it is really, how good the food is. I'm like you, not a wine person, but certainly will have a lot of interest in the food and wanting to check that out.
Yeah, and to be clear, because people are going to ask, I fully intend to check this out. The thing though is what we don't know right now is it going to be that food and wine is available for purchase and anybody can go in, or is it you buy a ticket and you get wine tasting? Like none of that is clarified yet, so I don't know where the facts lie. But I'll certainly try out whatever they have. I'll give it
Yeah.
a shot. But if anything, you and I can discuss it on the show. So it's worth
Yeah,
doing
and
it
I
for
think it's
that.
a good area that they're doing it in Tower Gardens. I think that's a good layout to have different samplings of the food and the wine in there. It's a nice, relaxing kind of setting. You got the Eiffel Tower right there. They're going to have live music. So it'll be an event that I think it's going to bring in some guests that normally maybe wouldn't go to Kings Island too, which is a good thing to get some new guests at the park.
Yeah. So the description that Kings Island supplied is bring friends and family to enjoy a wide assortment of exceptional wines from around the world and specially prepared culinary delights. Make it a date night with live music and entertainment from the area's most talented performers. Families can come together for an easy breezy summer fun with traditional outdoor games and all day activities. At every corner, you'll find gorgeous summer decor and lavish flowers, ambient lighting, and one of a kind photo ops. Combine all this with world-class rides and splish splash water park fun, available only at Kings Island. And we're sure that the Food and Wine Festival will be your favorite summertime weekend activity in 2024. So I imagine they're not going to serve wine from open to close. That'll probably be a 5 o'clock thing, kind of like
Yeah,
Carnival.
4 or 5 o'clock type of thing, right? Yeah, and like I said, any kind of event like this, it always revolves around the food. And if it's all being done there, by the culinary team, they certainly have the talent to pull this off.
Yeah, and a lot of it is the logistical stuff, because even if the food's delicious, if they're out of this item, or if people are waiting 25 minutes for this item or whatever, like that's going to be a damper on the event. So things have to be in order. This isn't the first barbecue doing stuff like that, because I imagined it's operationally similar to Carnival's food booths. That's the best guess I have, because we don't know what kind of food they're offering and stuff. But
Yeah, more information to come, and it's again weekends only, June 7th through the 30th.
Yeah. Just imagine if if they offered this, like you can buy a bunch of grapes and some cheese. Would you buy it?
Well, the cheese sounds good. I'm not a grape person.
You don't like grapes? I don't sit
No.
around and eat grapes like Genghis Khan, but those grapes, like I could do that. I could do it.
Ryan, you've known me for a long time. You should know by now. No fruits, no vegetables, no salads, none of that kind of stuff.
But I thought you would make an exception because I know that you're a big fan of high fructose corn syrup, but grapes are high in sugar water. So your body wouldn't have a lot of trouble distinguishing the difference between the two.
No, 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 no. If it's healthy, I'm not eating it.
Yeah, well, but you still like the cheese, right?
I do like the cheese, yes.
So what kind of live entertainment do you think that they'll have? We're just speculating at this point.
I'm not sure, what would be, and I would think that you would have, maybe bring in a local band, something like Hi-Fi Honey or something like that would probably be what I'm thinking there.
That was my guess too, is that they'd bring in Hi-Fi Honey for the live music.
And
But
that works because they do a fantastic job and they're high energy, and I think that would fit the mood for what they're looking for there.
yeah, my only concern with them, when we're talking about, not Hi-Fi Honey particularly, but any show with amplifiers and electric guitars and stuff like that, is if people are trying to enjoy themselves in like a wine tasting kind of setting, I don't know if having the decimals turned up to 11 is going to be conducive for that. So I also kind of wonder if it's going to be like
And my tie in with Retrospect, my tie in with that too.
yeah,
It's close
yeah.
enough. It's right there by it, so maybe it would.
So the cast from Retrospect can walk over, do the show, and then go to the stage
Well,
and do
I
it
mean,
again.
you would be able to hear it from where you are. If you're in Tower Gardens, you can certainly hear the show.
Yeah, so lavish flowers, ambient lighting. That'd be kind of cool. I mean, I don't think anybody in their right mind expects this to be to the caliber of Food and Wine at Epcot, which is, the comparison that everybody's made so far.
No,
But,
no,
you
but I
know, it,
really do like the idea, Ryan, that they're having these different events. So if you have something in June that can be a staple, something in July, something in August, then you've got your haunt, you've got your Winterfest. I think that is really good for the park because it gives you that there's urgency to visit during those times. Things become a staple that guests want to come back and experience year after year. So there's a lot to build on here with this.
yeah. And hopefully we see more of it. I love, the little special events and pop up and stuff. Like Carnival
Yeah.
is always like one of my favorite times a year.
Now, what I hope though, Ryan, is it isn't one of those things that the park sticks its foot in the water just to see what it is, and then it's not back next year. I mean, you got to jump in, and you got to commit, and you got to try to do it, for a few years before you really know if something's going to work or not.
Yeah, and it's because the thing that comes to mind is the Banshee Brewfest, which is this but beer, and that ran for a couple years. Uh, did that just run its course? I mean,
It just, I think it needed more time. I think the first year was, probably a little bit better than the second year. The second year had so many different beers to try that there was no way that everybody could. It was too overwhelming.
yeah,
So it was more scaled down the first year. I think if it had stayed like that, that was one of those events that it started to grow. People became interested in it. They were looking forward to it, and then just wasn't back again. So I just hope that
yeah,
this is one of those events that, like Grand Carnival, like Haunt, Tricks and Treats Fall Fest, Winterfest, that it becomes something that is a staple at Kings Island, and you can bank on it being there year after year.
yeah. It's clearly there's going to be some sort of effort. And I don't want to say effort because I don't want this to come off as demeaning, but there's going to be a lot of resources put into it, and that's clear by the fact that it's only weekends. If this was easy, they would just do it every day.
Right.
And if anything, it would almost be advantageous to them to do it every day because it might make people be like, oh, that'll probably be busy on Saturday. I'll go on Tuesday, and then drives attendance on Tuesday. So, the fact that it's weekends only, and
I think that gives it a good, a chance to be more successful in the future years when you start out just doing it, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Then maybe the next year you just, expand it to Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You just kind of slowly work to where you are daily with it.
Do you think that would be wise to go to like Friday, Saturday, Sunday to me is like that's a standard weekend thing. But do you think that once you start dropping in Thursdays or even Wednesdays, that's when you get into the territory of it's so close to every day that it just adds to confusion when people show up on a Monday or a Tuesday and they wonder why it's not open?
I mean, it can, but it's worked that way with, the parks that have done the Thursday haunts, or the Sunday haunts where, as long as you communicate that information, you should be all right.
Yeah, well, it's the haunt is a well established. Let me give you an example. So let's say haunt is a new product and it's in a different world. Halloween is in July or whatever. So haunt's a brand new product, and then they have it Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So people aren't like like Pavlovian trained to know that haunt is a weekend thing. Like, don't you think that would add to confusion that it's like half the week, but not the whole week? Like, I think there's a big difference between stuff that's on weekends like this and stuff that's on weekends plus a couple days. I think it should be daily or not, you know?
It all comes down to, in a lot of ways, a lot of times everything boils down to one thing: communication.
That's right. They need a newsletter. All right. Cool. We excited about this. This isn't going to be the last time you guys hear about it. Don and I
No,
we'll drink some wine and we'll act classy, even
I
though
won't touch the wine. I'll eat the food though.
no, you're gonna drink the wine so we can critique it. So you can swish. No, you sip, you swish, and you spit. That's how you do the wine. But I'll try the wine. I'm not a fan of wine, but I'll try it. All right. Moving
Moving
on
on
to
to our
the
listener questions, right?
yeah.
So we
Don,
got Ed from Milford, Ohio. He says, "Why is Kings Island constructing a new Coke drink station and action zone merely a minute's walk from the existing Coke marketplace when they often neglect to open refill stations near the train and arcade in Rivertown?"
is this some sort of joke? This is like reading my mind. So that's the real question. So now, granted, the Coke Freestyle thing has been open a lot by the train this year, but the one over by like the Beast Arcade has not been open this year, to my knowledge. So this person is absolutely right. They're going to open one with almost within eye shot of the other one, and we're going to assume it's going to be open regularly if they're going to put the capital into building it. But the one clear across the park is almost never open or open sparingly.
I
I
think that this is something that is being derived by Coke. I think that they're the ones that probably want it,
mhm.
and because of the sponsorship deal and everything that they have with them, that's what they're doing. I don't think it would be something to me. I don't think it's something that Kings Island would say, "Hey, let's build another Coke refill station here." I think that there would have been, something from Coke wanting to have, something there in Action Zone because then they have one near Coney. You have Rivertown. You have different places around the park. The other places to get the product and that. So to me, I think it's just something that they were approached with. This is what we want, and that's what they're doing.
Do you think that they ever look at? And I'm looking at the. It's not a freestyle, but the Coke refill station by like the Beast Arcade. There's got to be somebody within the ranks there that are like, first of all, this was a huge waste of money because it's never open, and secondly, can't we take this spot and find a way to make revenue here rather than having a Coke station that's always closed? When we talk about revenue per square foot, which is a lot of the ways that they justify real estate in the theme park industry, that's absurd that corridor right there, which just has tons of people through it, is never open.
My, just walking through the park, in previous summers, it seemed like the arcade one, by the arcade there in Rivertown, that was open, you know, um, more often than not in the summer months,
I
Memorial
see.
Day to Labor
I
Day.
could be wrong, and this is a good place for people to leave comments. What's your experience been with the Rivertown Arcade drink refill, have you mainly seen it open or closed? Because to me, I feel like if I see it open, it's like I got to get a drink there because this is rare. But you, of course, worked at the park last year, so you
Yes, I
might
mean,
have walked
I
up
don't
more
think
often.
it's closed as often as as it's being reported with that. And I think the one by the train, uh, it really started to get a lot of became kind of that joke on sites like KI Central
Hmm.
in 2020 2021. But what they were missing at that point in time was that's kind of a small space, and we were coming off a thing called COVID, and you couldn't have everybody kind of congregating that close together. So that's why it wasn't open in 2020 after the park reopened that summer. And why you saw it not really open much in 2021 is just because everybody was still wearing masks, and you still wanted to keep everybody 6 feet apart from each other, and that was very small area there.
I agree, but it's still hit or miss now, and we're I like to think that we're in the post-COVID era.
Yeah,
Um,
but we'll
so
keep an eye on it though with the Rivertown arcade one. And
yeah, I
when you go to the park, Ryan, check it out. I'll check it out when I'm there. And like you said, leave a comment for us on our YouTube, what you're seeing, and we'll kind of go from there with it.
absolutely okay. The next listener question comes from, is it KI Coaster Mom? Am I reading?
KL. Yeah.
KL Coaster. I thought that's the way I saw it, but I was like, I think he means KI. Okay. So KL Coaster Mom says, is there a plan for an update to Boo Blasters as a whole? Vehicles, lasers, getting the targets to work consistently? That's a good question.
It's a really good question. I do know that, you know, in recent years, the park had, there's been people that have approached the park, different ideas and things that could go in there to replace uh, Boo Blasters. I do know that the park, does put a lot of time and effort into it. It's hard to maintain. There's a lot of different things going on in there. A little frustrating, as a guest when you go through and some of the targets and that don't work. But I can tell you that, from tech services, the maintenance team, and that, they're in there all the time working on that.
It's part of their morning routine is to go in there and repair targets and stuff like that. So it's not a lack of maintenance. It's the old crappy technology. We talked about this a couple episodes ago. It terribly needs to be replaced. And once again, and I will say this until it's true, don't do it until you're ready to do it right. So we don't need the same thing, but Charlie Brown. You know,
Right.
make it animatronics. If you have to make it a shoot up thing, make it so it's like the new technology with the lasers and stuff like that, like every other place has now. Make it a quality ride. Don't just overlay it again, because that's what we got. Now, granted, like Boo Blasters, I think was better than the Scooby Doo thing, honestly. But so much
This is
more
the
coming up.
15th season for Boo Blasters. That
Yeah.
came about in 2010, so it's been around a while. Kind of the shelf life for those type of rides is typically anywhere from 10 to 15 years. So we're about there.
Well, outside of like Kings Island used to historically do them every 10 years. Remember, it was like 72, 82, 92, and so on. And then,
Hmm.
obviously they broke that tradition, but a lot of them, you look at like Men in Black Alien Attack and stuff, that's been since the 90s and so on.
Yeah.
But this is, I think, is more just outdated than anything. So yeah, no, I agree. It needs to be done. I guess Don wouldn't really have that knowledge, nor would he be. It would be proper for him to disclose it if he did. So, KL Coaster Mom, we're hoping along with you that they replace it with something cool really soon. Okay. Hey, I'm Ryan Sir, along with Don Helbig, and this is Tower Topics.